Hello, and welcome to the Club Sports New Participant Training. Here, you will learn about joining club sports, concussion awareness, and other important aspects of club sports operations. Let's get started with some basics. Club sports is just a small portion of the university, falling under competitive sports, recreation, and university life. Our department is structured around directors and assistant directors, graduate assistants, program assistants, and two student councils, the ECCS and the President's Council. What is the ECCS? The ECCS stands for Executive Council for Club Sports, which is the student-led governing body for all GMU club sport organizations. It is made up of 7 current club sport members, which are elected by the President's Council. They are responsible for distributing university funds to the clubs, development and enforcement of club sport policies and procedures, and creating an enjoyable experience for all club sports participants. Members of the ECCS are elected during the spring semester each year through a formalized election voting process. Each club receives 7 votes. If you are interested in becoming involved in the ECCS, you must have experience as an officer within a club sport organization and be a current member of a club, as well as have a minimum 2.0 cumulative GPA and complete the election process. What does our club constitution entail? The Constitution helps outline the structure, policies, and operating procedures for each club. It is highly recommended that all club members become familiar with the operating procedures, policies, and procedures for their club. There are a number of leadership positions available within each club, including President, Vice President, Safety Officer, Treasurer, and Secretary. Where does funding for the club come from? In addition to club dues, the club sports program receives funding through student activity fees. This amount may vary from year to year as clubs are required to submit and present budget proposals to the ECCS each spring for the coming year. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact the Club Sports office. The Club Sports office is located in the RAC at the Fairfax campus and is open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now it will cover what you need to do before you participate in club sports activities. Completing all portions of the new member checklist will ensure that you are eligible to practice and compete with the clubs of your choice. The first thing you'll have to do is to activate your Mason Recreation membership. If you are a full-time student, your membership is automatically active. Part-time students may pay a recreation fee of $50, payable to a customer service desk at any of the recreation facilities on the Fairfax campus.
This is Ryan from the Club Sports office, and I'm going to quickly walk you through how to set up an IMLeagues account. Start on our homepage, clubsports.gmu.edu. Once you get to this page, you can also view facility schedules, our athletic training schedules, as well as a lot of info about clubs and different forms and documents. On the left-hand side of the page, click on IMLeagues. You'll need to create an account at the top of the page. Ensure that George Mason University is selected as the institution. Include your name. For your email, ensure that you use your GMU email account. Your status as a student, what year of school you're in, and your year of birth, and set up your...
After creating an account on IMLeagues, you will need to complete several forms. The first of these is the Club Sports Participant Waiver. This document outlines the risks associated with participating in the club sport program, the acknowledgement of said risks to the participant, insurance requirements, and photo/video acknowledgement and agreement.
IMLeagues will then send you an email. Click on the link in the email to confirm you are who you say you are, and you'll then have access to the site. Your home page will look like this. If you want to join a club, go to Clubs at the top of the page and select what club you want to join, and then click Join Team. You'll then have to complete your waiver and all the information that's required. After you've fully been accepted onto your team, go back to your home, then select the forms. You'll then see the 7 forms you're required to complete. Click on the form, thoroughly read it, answer all the questions, put in any information you're required to submit, and submit the form for review. This video will now continue and explain in depth each of the 7 forms.
Next is the Shared Medical History Consent Form. This form provides the club sports administrative staff, athletic training staff, student health services, club coaches, and safety officers the ability to share information regarding a participant's medical history. Communication is extremely important in the event a participant is injured while traveling, he or she has a pre-existing condition, or is coordinating follow-up care or the return to play process. A sports health physical must be completed by a licensed medical physician and be on file with Mason Recreation using the form provided by Mason Rec. These are valid for 365 days and must be completed prior to participation in any club competitions. Physicals can be submitted to the club sports office during office hours or the drop box located in the RAC lobby. All participants are required to submit updated emergency contact information each year on IM leagues. This information should be updated regularly and is the responsibility of the participant. All club sports participants, coaches, and administrators are required to complete the online concussion and injury fact and acknowledgement form. This form outlines the following: what is a concussion, how to prevent a concussion, what are the symptoms of a concussion, and what you should do if you think you have a concussion. Athletes are then required to read and initial the Athlete Concussion Acknowledgement Statement. Impact baseline testing is required of all members of high-risk clubs prior to taking part in any physical activity with the club. Baseline tests are only required once during your enrollment at George Mason University. If you are interested in joining football, ice hockey, Quidditch, rugby, soccer, or the ski and snowboard club, you will need to have this testing done. All participants, employees, coaches, and instructors of club sports are held accountable to the policies and procedures set forth by George Mason University and Mason Recreation. The Behavior and Accountability Form outlines alcohol and drugs, harassment and hazing, social media, sportsmanship, and crimes. Remember, when you participate in club sports, you are representing the university and should conduct yourself in an appropriate manner, including on social media. The Buckley Amendment and Consent Form is required for anyone competing in activities that require roster verification. Regarding travel and hotels for away competitions, non-club personnel may not travel to club-sanctioned events with club members, nor are they allowed to stay in a hotel room provided by club sports. Also, males and females may not share rooms when staying overnight. Now that we've completed the forms, let's learn about concussions. What is a concussion? A concussion is a type of traumatic brain injury caused by a bump, blow, or jolt to the head or hit to the body that causes the head and brain to move rapidly back and forth. If you notice that someone can't recall events, appears dazed or stunned, moves clumsily, loses consciousness, or shows other abnormalities, consider the possibility that that person has a concussion and notify a proper authority. If you experience a headache or pressure in your head, nausea or vomiting, balance problems or dizziness, irritation to light or noise, or confusion after being hit or falling, you may be showing signs of a concussion and should notify a proper authority. Although signs and symptoms show up soon after the injury, you may not know the severity of the injury as some symptoms may not show up for hours or days. You should continue to check for signs of concussions right after the injury and a few days after the injury. If concussion signs or symptoms get worse, you should take him or her to the emergency department right away. If you or any individual are suspected of having a concussion or head injury, follow these steps. Immediately remove yourself or them from play. Seek medical attention, and complete the gradual return to play process. An athlete with a possible concussion should be withheld from play the same day of injury and until cleared by a health care provider.
The following video presentation, produced by the NCAA, highlights the importance of taking time to properly recover in following the return to play process.
For me, soccer is really mental, and it's always always a challenge. It's a constant thought process, always thinking hard about what would be the best strategy to prevent the other team from scoring.
In the fall of 2009, Claire Pinciero was a college freshman who was looking forward to her first season with the Princeton University soccer team. Claire realized that college athletics offered an opportunity to push herself to meet and overcome challenges, mentally and physically, in the classroom and on the field.
It's the most physically and mentally exhausting game, but after you've done well, it's you feel a sense of serenity.
The season was just underway when Claire suddenly found herself facing a new set of physical and mental challenges when she suffered a concussion during a preseason scrimmage.
Immediately after I got hit, I just remember having no idea where I was. I was so confused.
Like Claire, Ben Chappell was excited to have an opportunity to play college sports. As the starting quarterback for the Indiana University football team, the fifth-year senior was, at the time, enjoying a good sophomore season when he suffered a concussion in a heated conference game.
I ran the ball, was trying to score a touchdown, and the guy just kind of hit me pretty much right on the butt.
Chappell takes a big hit at the 6-yard line.
The next thing I remember is the trainer coming out, asking me if I was okay.
Chappell coming off the field under his own power, but obviously not himself at the moment after that hit.
Concussions can happen at any time, to any player, at any position, in any sport. Whether the symptoms are serious or mild, a concussion is an injury that should always be addressed right away and should always be taken seriously.
Don't cover up or try to hide your symptoms. The earlier you report them, the sooner that we can take care of you properly.
Honesty in the short run may keep them out a little bit, but in the long run it's going to keep them much healthier, and it's going to give them a much longer career when they play.
Any student athlete knows that injuries are part of any sporting activity. Collisions can cause bruises, sprains, or broken bones. Like these injuries, a concussion can have an immediate, negative impact on an athlete's ability to continue to perform well on or off the field.
The real true mechanism of concussion is related to acceleration and rapid deceleration. It's where you get a sudden change in forces, so anything that will provide a sudden stop can cause a concussion.
A concussion is a brain injury that is caused by a blow to the head or body from contact with another player, from hitting the playing surface, or being hit with a piece of sports equipment. Concussions can change the way your brain normally works and can range from mild to severe. These injuries can present themselves differently for each athlete, and they can happen in any playing circumstance in any sport.
We know that when a player has a brain injury, they tend to have difficulties with memory, particularly short-term memory. They have difficulty with how quickly they process information, how well they can think through problems, how well they can analyze problems, and how they put those all together. We know that those different aspects of brain functioning are affected in concussion. One of the key issues that we must deal with is making sure that when we return a player to play, that player is no longer having symptoms.
In order to recognize if you have a concussion, it is important that each student athlete understands the possible symptoms.
First thing you should do if you suspect a concussion is not minimize what you're feeling. Those symptoms should be reported to your medical staff at your university as soon as possible.
So I don't remember getting hit, but I think I was visibly confused and something obviously was wrong.
For Claire Pinciero, the symptoms of her concussion appeared mild at first, and then grew more severe in the hours and days that followed.
I had this constant headache, and it was basically just a migraine all the time. I was really sensitive to light and noise. My spatial awareness was really off.
It's important when you're dealing with athletes that have injuries. They're so accustomed to playing through pain. If they have an ankle sprain, they're used to getting taped up and going back into play. I think with concussion, what's important is that they need to understand how important it is that they have to be 100% before they can go back.
Claire did not lose consciousness, but the symptoms from her concussion affected practically every area of her life.
I couldn't work out because it would raise my blood circulation and go to my head, and I couldn't really listen to loud music, so I couldn't be with my friends. I couldn't really watch TV because that would hurt my eyes, which would hurt my head, and I couldn't play soccer, obviously. And School was really tough. It was really hard for me to read. I had to read at like 20-minute intervals, and then even during then it would just be such a bad pain.
Like Claire, Ben Chappell did not lose consciousness, but his collision with another player caused his concussion. Team athletic trainers led him off the field immediately.
Initially, I didn't have any symptoms. I didn't feel different at all. I think it was once I got off to the sideline, when the doctors really started asking me questions, that I realized that, something wasn't really right.
Ben's athletic trainers administered a typical sideline evaluation, the first of several important steps in the proper diagnosis and treatment of a concussion.
If an athlete presents to the medical staff with symptoms of a concussion, or an athlete is brought to the attention of the medical staff that they might be experiencing a concussion, we will first want to remove them from play to get a good assessment.
They took me through the whole concussion questions, like, can you say the months backwards, the alphabet, start with this letter, and continue through this one. I think the doctor gave me 3 words to remember when we walked into the locker room at halftime.
It's very important to be honest and upfront. If we can treat your concussion properly from the start, there's a real opportunity to get those signs and symptoms to clear faster and for your concussion injury to resolve quicker.
It's important for players and teammates, as well as coaches, to work in concert with athletic trainers and team physicians to identify and treat concussions as soon as possible.
Coaches need to be able to identify that an injury has occurred, and then to get that athlete with an athletic trainer, with a physician, with a neuropsychologist, where sound medical decisions can be made.
The time for a concussion to heal varies for each athlete. Ben was back on the field within a couple weeks. Claire was out for the season. However, both are now healthy and playing at 100% because both left the game immediately and received the proper medical help they needed right away. In most concussion cases, athletes can return to play with no lingering symptoms.
About 90% of concussions will resolve in terms of their symptoms within a week, but 10% don't resolve within a week. If an individual is playing still symptomatic from a previous concussion and receives another blow to the head, is that the combined effects will exacerbate the initial concussion symptoms and may prolong it a great deal, so that one has many more symptoms, they're more severe, and they last a great deal longer. It is very, very not smart to play with any post-concussion symptoms. You're risking permanent life-altering problems.
You want to be in there for your teammates and do the best you can. So I think that pressure is definitely real, but if you're not 100%, then you're probably going to do more damage to your team than good.
Concussion is a serious injury. Just like you tore your ACL or broke your arm. It's different because you can't see it. You can't see your cast or your brace or anything like that, but it's important that you get the help from your doctors because it could have some serious symptoms.
If you feel that you or one of your teammates is suffering from symptoms of a concussion, play it smart. Don't hide it. Report it to trained medical staff immediately and get checked out. Then take the proper time to recover. Remember, it's better to miss one game than the possibility of missing an entire season or career. When in doubt, get checked out.
Student Health Services on campus, Genesis Healthcare, and Inova Fair Oaks Hospital are all medical facilities located around the Fairfax campus. Now let's discuss the athletic training services that are available to you. Mason Recreation offers athletic training services to our competitive sports athletes through a contract with Select Physical Therapy. The schedule can be found on the clubsports.gmu.edu website under Athletic Training. You may visit an athletic trainer at the RAC if there is one scheduled during office hours.
If you go to our website, clubsports.gmu.edu, the athletic training schedule, under the athletic training tab, We'll bring up this large schedule that has all the locations where the athletic trainers will be throughout the week. Easiest way to view it is if you go to week by week view, and you can see all of the locations where they will be during that.
There is no charge for training services. However, there is no charge for training therapy or follow-up care. However, this will be at your own physical therapy or follow-up care. Mason Recreation and George Mason University cannot be held liable for any medical bills. Mason University cannot be held liable for any medical bills. All club sports participants are required to maintain current health and medical insurance. All club sports participants are required to purchase health insurance by contacting Student Health Services. Students may purchase health insurance by contacting Student Health Services. Athletic trainers are provided by Mason Recreation for all home competitions hosted by the club. Clubs are not permitted to host a home competition without an athletic trainer scheduled. What is a safety officer? Each club is required to have 2 safety officers who have completed training in CPR, AED, first aid, blood-borne pathogens, and the emergency action plan for the department. They are the primary contact for injuries that occur off campus, and clubs are required to have at least 1 safety officer at every practice or competition. MRSA, commonly known as staph, can infect the body through cuts or breaks in the skin. Symptoms include infections on the skin, such as sores, boils, or pimples. You should see a doctor if wounds become infected or symptoms worsen. It is important that players do not share sweaty equipment and take care to clean personal equipment regularly after use. This next section will cover student account holds. So, you attempted to use the gym today, and the customer service staff said your Mason Recreation membership is frozen. How is this possible? Mason Recreation has the ability to issue temporary or indefinite holds to a member's account for several different reasons, including medical, financial, and disciplinary. Anyone suspected of a possible head injury or concussion will automatically have a hold placed on their IM Leagues account and their Mason Recreation membership. Mason Rec account hold. These holds may be placed on your account for outstanding fees owed to the club or Mason Recreation. Student account hold. Holds may be placed on your student account for outstanding club dues or other fees which are outstanding with your club or Mason Recreation. Individuals involved in an incident which requires a disciplinary hold will have their Mason Recreation membership frozen until the ECCS and the Assistant Director of Club Sports have determined a final outcome. Again, you are representing the university as a member of Club Sports, so please be respectful to all participants and demonstrate good sportsmanship at all times. Club dues are a useful method for clubs to bring in additional funding to operate. Club members must pay their dues at the front desk of the RAC by stating their club and the amount due. Payment may be made using cash, a check payable to George Mason University with the club name on the memo line, or a Visa or MasterCard. Many clubs provide uniforms to its members. If equipment, uniforms, or apparel are purchased with club funds, club members may not keep them. However, if a club raises self-generated revenue in addition to their dues, those funds may be used to purchase team apparel and kept by members of the club. Club members may be charged for lost, stolen, or damaged items belonging to the club. Facility usage is a major component of recreation in any university. Club sports participants are required to check in when using any Mason Recreation or intercollegiate athletics facility. Failure to abide by department and facility policies and procedures may result in disciplinary action against the club or participants. It is the responsibility of the club and its members to ensure that any facility utilized for club activities has been cleaned and all equipment has been returned prior to departure. Here is a list of the available facilities and how to contact them should you have any questions.
You can also view our facility schedules online by going to our website, clubsports.gmu.edu, clicking on Facility Schedules. Select the facility you're using, so for example, Field 3. You can then view the schedule either by month, but more detailed, you can look per week and see when your club's scheduled to practice.
While coaches are not required, they can be a valuable resource for clubs. These coaches can either be paid or volunteer. Either way, all new coaches are required to submit an application, resume, and attach any certifications prior to being hired by the club. Coaches are there to coach, not to lead. Executive members of the club should still be responsible for all operations of the club. Finally, let's talk about alumni. Staying involved with your club following graduation is a great way to network and continue to support the organization which you were a part of. Many clubs host alumni games, fundraisers, and charity events to help connect current club members with alumni. That concludes the new participant training video. You will now need to complete the training quiz with a score of 100% before you can begin participating in club activities. Thank you for your time, and we hope you enjoy your experience with GMU Club Sports.
Thanks for watching this video. Welcome to the Club Sports program. And remember, if you ever need to find any other information, clubsports.gmu.edu has all the info you need. You can also email us at gmuclubsports@gmail.com. Look forward to seeing you out there in competition.